Good morning. All through the day yesterday, I kept hearing write it down. And so I started thinking about all the ways that in the Bible it talks about write it down, or God said write it down. And right away my mind goes to the places in First John, where he says, I write these things to you because, or I write these things to you so that. And I started thinking about the things that have been written to us: books, letters, love letters, poems, the things that we can visually see that remind us of something. Now, sometimes that's in my mind, like I remember without really any like prompting, so I have memories from my childhood. You have memories from your childhood, some good, some bad, some fun, some lessons that needed to be learned. But you have memories, whether it's from your childhood or from your adulthood, or school days. But we all have memories. Some of those memories have led us to places where we also make memories. So you remember playing with your dad as a kid. You remember playing football in the backyard, and so you play football with your kids. You remember throwing catch with your grandpa. A glove and a baseball, simple glove and a baseball across a field, and so you play catch with your kids, and someday with your grandkids. I remember very vividly when I would stay overnight at my grandma's house, and she would open up this red diary. It's like a little diary with a lock on it, and it probably was less than $1. They didn't even have dollar stores back then. And it was a 5-year, so she just wrote a little blurb. But every night she would sit down while we were getting quiet and getting ready to go to sleep, and she would write. And I don't know what she wrote there. And I did not have the privilege of ever being able to pick up those diaries and hold them to my heart. But they're stored up in heaven. And God gives me the privilege of writing my own little diaries. And I think that pieces of her are there. And I remember my mom every morning when I would come out of my bedroom to get ready to go to school. There was my mom sitting with our Bible open and her notebook beside her, starting the day by reading the Word of God and praying for our family and many other families who may never know that they were prayed for, but I promise you they were. That's how my mom started her day, and what she did reminded me, as I think back, it was almost not even a thought. I did not sit down and think, I better start every morning with an open Bible and a notebook. I didn't even think that. As I had kids, that's how I began to start my morning. It was in me, It was in my DNA. It was a natural practice that came from seeing what was done. And those two women, were writing it down. They were writing it down. But in their writing it, they were showing me to write it. And they were showing me what to write about. There are 2 important journals that I keep. I keep a journal of what's going on in my family and how I love my people. What's happening in the world, what the news is saying, rumors of wars and wars from my perspective. And I keep a journal of words from heaven. The two precious women in my history who taught me to do that were my grandmother and my mother. And I know that whether I ever see evidence of it or not, or whether I see evidence of it every time I listen to a song, I know that I have passed that on to my children. It's in their DNA. It's in their DNA. And they will pass it on to their children. So that's writing. And you know, some of us, I spoke about journaling a few messages ago, a few Monday mornings ago, and I heard, man, that's tough. I can't do that. And some people don't journal. One of my very best friends is like, dude, you're all about the words. I don't do that. And it's funny because I've always thought of her as a poet. I think what's important is what's coming out of our heart, not necessarily the way that that comes out in the flesh. So maybe I journal, maybe you paint, maybe I write, maybe you sing, maybe you dance, maybe you tell jokes, or maybe you take walks in nature. My point is this: we are a continuum. We are a continuum. We are bringing a message along and sending it forward. We're a continuum. I am a part of it, and you are a part of it. Do not drop the ball. Don't drop the ball. So I was reading in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy, guys. I read a reading plan every year that I read through the Bible every year, and I encourage you to do that, because I would probably never read Deuteronomy if it weren't in my reading plan. I didn't get there yet, but I remember it from last year. We're a continuum, yo. Don't drop the ball. I feel God's heart on this so strongly. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. Guys, you're a part of a continuum that was handed down to you, and you're handing it down to those who come after you. And if it wasn't handed down to you, you are the beginning of a continuum, and you are handing it down. Whether it's the treasure of your first graders' artwork that they bring home from school that you never give up. You put it in a little box, and you put the box in a little treasure chest, and one day they open it up and they see how dearly they were loved. I'll never forget those moments of opening my grandma's Bible, and pressed in between the pages was an art that my dad did when he was just in kindergarten. First grade. I don't know if they had kindergarten back then. She saved it. And all those years later, that said, I love you. So guys, today, whatever it is, You know, when the Israelites went into the promised land, God told them, take 12 stones from the Jordan River that you crossed over and build them up. That's going to be a memorial that I am good. He said in Deuteronomy, talk about it, write it down, carve it into your home. So what can you do today? What can you do this week that is a part of this continuum that will pay it forward to your kids, or pay it forward to your friends, or pay it forward to those you love, and not in money, but in a beautiful representation of what you hold here. If you hold it here and it stays here, it is forgotten. But if you hold it here and you speak it out, or write it out, or give it out, it grows. It's like a seed that grows. So don't hold it in, whether you speak words, write words, sing a song, do a dance, whether you take something that means everything to you and put it aside so that it speaks to a generation to come. What means most to you? What means most to you? You know, Jesus means most to me in my life. And so I spent hours and days and weeks and months and years and years and years praying for my family and the ones that I love, that they would know the love of God. And someday they're gonna read what I wrote, which is, guys, I prayed for you, that you would know the love of God. And that is going to impact for generations to come. What is it that you need to memorialize today? What is it that you need to make an example of? Tie on your wrist, wrap around your forehead, like it says in Deuteronomy. What is it today that you need to open up like a seed, so that that one little seed grows into a tree that grows millions and millions and millions of other trees in the future? How do you need to be a domino today? Think about it, but don't stop there. Do it. Make sure that those around you know how much you love them. Make sure that those around you know that Jesus is the one and only most important focus of our lives. He loves us so much. And as we memorialize, I'm so sorry I'm getting a little long, but my goodness, this morning, whether you do it like this or whether you do it with this and a cracker, and please don't be offended. It's whatever you have in your house. Remember him. Take communion. Take communion today and remember him. You don't have to be in church to take communion. You don't have to be with a group of people to take communion. You can take communion every single day in your house. You can get these fun little ditties from Amazon or from christianbook.com. And when you bless this, thank you, Melanie Archer, it becomes the body and the blood of Christ. Do this in remembrance of him. So today, remember him, and remember that you are a part of a continuum. What is it that you want someone else to know? Give to them in words, written, sung. Give to them in something meaningful. You're a domino. It's going to be a great day.